The silent ascent. Dr. Sarah Hayes stood at her workstation in the Quantum Development Complex, buried 3 kilometers beneath the Antarctic ice sheet. Her dark eyes reflected the shimmer of quantum matrices dancing across her holographic display. On the surface, the facility appeared to be nothing more than a small international research station studying climate change. In reality, it was humanity's most advanced technological fortress. Quantum fold stability at 98%, she announced, her voice steady despite the excitement coursing through her veins. Neural interface synchronization complete. Around her, a team of the world's brightest minds monitored banks of equipment that would appear impossibly advanced to their alien visitors. The Galactic Concordat believed humanity to be centuries behind their level of development. They saw Earth as nothing more than a quaint backwater world, barely capable of maintaining its crude fusion reactors and fledgling space program. That was exactly what humanity wanted them to think. Admiral James Chen watched from the observation deck, his weathered face betraying none of the pride he felt. 20 years of careful planning had led to this moment. Since first contact, humanity had played a dangerous game of appearance versus reality. Every interaction with alien species had been carefully choreographed to present an image of technological inadequacy. "Dr. Hayes," he called out, "walk me through what I'm seeing." Sarah's fingers danced across the neural interface, bringing up a 3-dimensional representation of their latest achievement. "This is Project Nexus, sir, a quantum neural network that can process information faster than any known alien computing system. But its true potential lies in its ability to learn and adapt at an unprecedented rate." The hologram showed streams of data flowing through structures that resembled human neural pathways, but operated on quantum principles. It was beautiful, elegant, and absolutely revolutionary. More importantly, it was completely undetectable to alien scanning technology. "The Concordat's latest inspection is scheduled for next week," Chen reminded her. "Are we ready?" Sarah allowed herself a small smile. "Everything is in place, Admiral. They'll see exactly what we want them to see. Outdated quantum processors struggling to maintain basic functions. Meanwhile, Nexus will be gathering more data about their technology in those few hours than we've collected in the past 5 years." The deception went far beyond just hiding advanced technology. Every human achievement had been carefully documented with falsified research trails showing painfully slow progress. When humanity revealed breakthroughs, they were always presented as crude implementations of already existing alien technology. The Concordat's experts would examine these developments, note their inefficiencies, and file reports confirming humanity's technological inferiority. None of them realized that each inefficient human device contained revolutionary advances carefully disguised as flaws. The crude fusion reactors actually housed matter-antimatter containment systems. The primitive neural interfaces masked quantum consciousness technology. Every piece of human technology was a carefully crafted lie. "The latest reports from our diplomatic corps confirm the Concordat still views us as a non-threat," Chen said, reviewing data on his neural link. "The Valaxians are particularly amused by our clumsy attempts to understand their propulsion technology." Sarah's hand unconsciously touched the small scar behind her ear where her neural interface was implanted. The Valaxians would be significantly less amused if they knew that human ships could already outperform their best vessels. But that revelation would come later, when the time was right. "Director Matthews reports that the Luna facility is also ready," she said. "The Concordat inspectors will see only what appears to be a struggling attempt to establish a permanent lunar base. They'll never detect the quantum manufacturing complex hidden beneath the surface." Chen nodded, his eyes fixed on the dancing quantum matrices. "And Project Oracle." Sarah's expression grew serious. "The predictive algorithms are exceeding our most optimistic projections. We can now model Concordat responses to various scenarios with 99.7% accuracy. The simulations all point to the same conclusion. They're planning to move against us within the next 5 years. They believe we'll be helpless to resist," Chen said, his voice carrying a hint of satisfaction. Their own prejudices have become our greatest advantage. The quantum display shifted, showing a map of known Concordat military assets. Humanity had spent decades feeding false intelligence to the alien alliance, carefully crafting an image of Earth as a technologically backward world of little strategic value. Meanwhile, hidden facilities like this one had pushed the boundaries of science far beyond anything the Concordat could imagine. "Final system check," Sarah announced, initiating the day's last diagnostic sequence. Around her, the quantum processors hummed with barely contained power. All systems nominal. Deception protocols active and stable. Chen watched the proceedings with quiet satisfaction. Humanity had learned long ago that true power lay not in displaying strength, but in carefully controlling how others perceive your weaknesses. The Concordat's patronizing attitude toward Earth had been carefully nurtured, each interaction designed to reinforce their sense of superiority. They would learn the truth eventually, but by then it would be far too late. "Excellent work, Doctor," Chen said, turning to leave. "Maintain our current status. Let them continue to laugh at humanity's primitive efforts. The day is coming when their laughter will turn to silence, and our silence will become the sound of their defeat." Sarah returned to her work, monitoring systems that would reshape the galaxy. Above her, 3 kilometers of ice concealed humanity's greatest secrets. And in orbit, Concordat surveillance satellites dutifully reported that Earth remained a backward world of limited potential. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. Beneath the surface, the Concordat inspection vessel descended through Earth's atmosphere with practiced precision, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight in dazzling patterns. Inside, Senior Inspector Zarval of the Valaxian Science Directory reviewed the preliminary scans of the human research facility they were about to examine. Primitive shielding. They noted multiple eye stalks swiveling to take in different data streams simultaneously. Their attempts at quantum containment are almost embarrassingly crude. Behind them, a junior inspector made a sound that might have been amusement. The humans had requested Concordat assistance in developing more efficient quantum computing systems. Such requests were common from emerging species, though few were as persistently incompetent as humanity seemed to be. 3 kilometers below, Dr. Sarah Hayes watched the alien vessels approach on displays that were far more sophisticated than anything the Concordat would see. "They're right on schedule," she reported to Admiral Chen. "And they're scanning exactly the frequencies we predicted." "Project Oracle hasn't failed us yet," Chen replied, straightening his deliberately outdated uniform. "Are the deception protocols holding?" "Perfect synchronization," Sarah confirmed. "They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. A struggling quantum research facility barely managing to maintain stable matrix cohesion." The truth, hidden beneath layers of quantum camouflage, was far different. As the alien vessel landed, its own scanning systems were being analyzed by human technology far beyond their understanding. Each probe, each scan, each attempt to assess human capabilities was providing valuable data about Concordat technical limitations. The reception area had been carefully prepared. Outdated holographic displays flickered uncertainly, giving the impression of barely functional technology. The air circulation systems made just enough noise to suggest inefficient engineering. Even the lighting had been calibrated to appear slightly unstable. "Welcome to the International Quantum Research Facility." Chen greeted the alien delegation with carefully practiced deference. "We're honored by your presence." Zarval's eye stalks quivered in what humans had learned was an expression of patronizing amusement. "We are here to assess your progress in quantum computation. Your last report indicated some difficulties." Yes. Chen nodded eagerly, playing his role perfectly. "Dr. Hayes will show you our latest attempts. We've made some progress, though we're still struggling with basic matrix stability." Sarah led them through the facility, past laboratories filled with apparently crude equipment. Each device they passed was a masterpiece of deception. Revolutionary technology disguised as primitive attempts to copy Concordat systems. "This is our main quantum processing center," she announced, gesturing to a chamber filled with crystalline structures that pulsed with uncertain light. "We're still having trouble maintaining coherence for more than a few microseconds." The alien inspectors moved through the space, their sophisticated scanning devices probing every piece of equipment. None of them noticed that their scanners were being subtly manipulated, fed false data so convincing that their own error-checking systems wouldn't detect the deception. "Your approach is interesting," Zarval commented, examining what appeared to be a failing quantum matrix. "Though highly inefficient, have you considered using temporal stabilization?" "Temporal stabilization?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with practiced ignorance. "We're not familiar with that concept. Could you explain it?" As the alien launched into a condescending explanation of basic quantum principles, Sarah's hidden neural interface was recording and analyzing every word, every gesture, every subtle indication of Concordat technological capabilities. The failing quantum matrix was actually gathering more data about alien temporal manipulation technology than the Concordat had ever intended to reveal. In a hidden chamber nearby, the real quantum processing center continued its work. Project Oracle's predictions were being refined in real time, incorporating new data from the inspection. The artificial quantum intelligence at the heart of the system was learning, adapting, evolving at a pace that would have terrified the Concordat had they known of its existence. "Your species shows admirable persistence," Zarval concluded after several hours of inspection, "though perhaps it would be wise to focus on more achievable goals. Quantum technology may be beyond your current developmental stage." "We appreciate your guidance," Chen responded humbly. "Earth will continue to look to the Concordat for leadership in scientific matters." As the alien vessel departed, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The inspection had been perfect, another flawless performance in humanity's greatest deception. The Concordat would file reports confirming Earth's technological backwardness, never suspecting that their own systems had been thoroughly analyzed during their visit. "Project Oracle's latest predictions?" Chen asked once they were alone. Sarah's neural interface connected directly with the quantum AI, receiving its analysis. "The Concordat's technological development has plateaued," she reported. "They haven't made any significant advances in quantum computing for over a century. They've become complacent, relying on their existing advantages over lesser species, and their military assessment of Earth unchanged. They consider us a minimal threat, barely worth monitoring. The Valaxians are actually pushing to reduce the frequency of inspections, arguing that we're developing so slowly that annual visits are unnecessary." Chen nodded with satisfaction. "Perfect. How long until Project Nexus achieves full operational capacity?" "We're ahead of schedule," Sarah replied, her eyes gleaming with suppressed excitement. "The quantum neural network has already surpassed our most optimistic projections. We could probably reveal ourselves now if we needed to." "No," Chen said firmly. "We stick to the timeline. Let them continue to underestimate us. Let them laugh at our apparent incompetence. The day is coming when they'll understand just how badly they've misjudged humanity." Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, humanity's true technological revolution continued. The Concordat's laughter would fade soon enough, replaced by a silence born of shock and awe. But for now, the deception had to be maintained. The greatest trick humanity had ever played was convincing the galaxy they were weak. And the galaxy had fallen for it completely. The breaking point. The emergency alert came at 300 hours Antarctic time. Dr. Sarah Hayes was deep in quantum calculations when her neural interface pulsed with an urgent priority message. The Concordat's militant Krivik faction had just launched a surprise attack on 3 human colony worlds. Project Oracle predicted this. Admiral Chen's voice came through the quantum link, tight with controlled tension. "But they've moved ahead of our projected timeline." Sarah's fingers danced across holographic displays as she accessed real-time data streams. The Krivak warships had emerged from faster-than-light travel near Europa Colony, New Victoria, and Haven's Gate simultaneously. Their attack pattern suggested absolute confidence in their technological superiority. "They believe this will be a simple demonstration of force," Sarah observed, watching the Krivik fleet movements. "A quick strike to remind humanity of our place in the galactic hierarchy." "Then they're about to learn a very expensive lesson," Chen replied. "Status of our defensive systems." Sarah connected directly to Project Nexus, the quantum AI's vast consciousness meshing seamlessly with her own enhanced cognition. "All systems are operational. The quantum shield network is active but still masked. Enemy scans show exactly what we want them to see. 3 helpless colonies with minimal defensive capabilities." The Krivik commander's message was being broadcast across all frequencies, his translated voice dripping with contempt. "Human settlements. Your continued technological development has been deemed potentially destabilizing to galactic harmony. Submit to immediate Concordat oversight or face appropriate consequences." In orbit around Europa colony, the Krivik warships deployed in standard attack formation. Their sensors showed only a scattered collection of primitive defense satellites and a small planetary shield that barely deserved the name. What they couldn't detect was the quantum defense grid that had been hiding in plain sight for years, disguised as simple communication relays. "They're launching their first warning shots," Sarah reported, watching through the quantum network. "Targeting what they believe to be our primary power facilities." The Krivik energy weapons lashed out, brilliant beams of concentrated plasma that should have overwhelmed any primitive human defenses. Instead, the attack simply vanished, absorbed by defensive systems far beyond anything the Concordat could imagine. "No response from the humans," a Krivik sensor operator reported, confusion evident in their translated voice. "Their shield network appears to be malfunctioning." "Impossible," the Krivik commander snarled. "Their technology shouldn't be capable of." The quantum AI's prediction algorithms reached 100% certainty. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. "They've crossed the final threshold, Admiral. Permission to activate countermeasures." "Granted." Chen's voice was cold. "Show them exactly what they're dealing with." Sarah's consciousness merged fully with Project Nexus, the quantum network responding to her commands with precise elegance. Across all 3 colonies, humanity's true defensive capabilities began to emerge from their carefully maintained camouflage. The primitive satellites transformed, quantum metamaterials shifting to reveal weapons systems that made the Krivik technology look primitive by comparison. The planetary shields that had appeared to be failing suddenly blazed with energy that defied conventional physics. Multiple unknown energy signatures detected. The Krivik sensors screamed. "Human defensive capabilities far exceed reported parameters." "Impossible," the commander repeated, but this time their voice held the first tremor of fear. "Their technology is centuries behind." "That's what we wanted you to think." Sarah's voice cut across their communications, transmitted through quantum channels that bypassed all known encryption. "For years, you've laughed at humanity's apparent technological backwardness. You've mocked our primitive attempts to understand your science. That ends today." The quantum defense grid activated fully, surrounding the Krivik ships in fields of energy that simply hadn't existed in their understanding of physics. Their weapons were neutralized, their engines contained, their vaunted technology rendered impotent by systems they couldn't even detect, let alone comprehend. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force." Chen's voice followed Sarah's, carrying absolute authority. "Your unprovoked attack on human colonies constitutes an act of war. You have 30 seconds to power down your weapons and submit to detention, or we will be forced to demonstrate exactly how far human technology has advanced while you weren't paying attention." In the Antarctic facility, Sarah watched through the quantum network as panic spread through the Krivik fleet. Their scans were going crazy, detecting energy signatures that shouldn't exist, reading power levels that defied their understanding of physics. The entire basis of their technological superiority was being systematically demolished. "They're powering up their main drives," she reported, attempting to retreat. "Not this time," Chen ordered. Project Oracle predicts a 98.7% chance they'll return with a larger fleet if we let them escape. Contain them. Sarah reached out through the quantum network, her enhanced consciousness directing power flows that the Krivek couldn't even detect. Their faster-than-light drives sputtered and died, quantum interference patterns disrupting technologies that the Concordat had believed unassailable. Your species is supposed to be primitive, the Krivek commander's voice held disbelief and growing terror. This level of technology, it's impossible. No, Sarah replied, watching as quantum containment fields locked the alien ships in place. It was simply well hidden. While you laughed at our clumsy attempts to copy your science, we were surpassing it. While you filed reports about our technological inadequacies, we were rewriting the laws of physics. And now you're about to discover exactly what humanity is capable of when we stop pretending to be weak. The breaking point had been reached. Humanity's greatest deception was coming to an end, and the galaxy would never be the same. Thunder of the Silent. News of the Krivek defeat spread through the Concordat like a quantum shockwave. The species that had been dismissed as technological primitives had not only repelled an attack by one of the most powerful military forces in known space, but had done so with technology that shouldn't exist. In the Concordat's Central Council chamber, the emergency session had devolved into chaos. Representatives from 24 species argued violently, their universal translators struggling to keep up with the overlapping voices. The humans must have received outside help. Impossible. Their technology exceeds anything in known space. We need to launch a full military response. Are you insane? Did you see what they did to the Krivek fleet? High above Earth, Dr. Sarah Hayes stood on the observation deck of humanity's first officially revealed warship, the EDF Prometheus. The vessel had been hidden in plain sight for years, disguised as a primitive orbital construction platform. Now its true form was unveiled. A quantum-powered dreadnought that made Concordat ships look like children's toys. The Concordat Defense Fleet is mobilizing, she reported to Admiral Chen, who stood beside her watching the stars. Exactly as Project Oracle predicted. They're gathering their forces for a show of strength, while their diplomats scramble to understand what's happening. Chen nodded, his weathered face reflecting the starlight. And our countermeasures. Already in place, Sarah's neural interface connected directly with Project Nexus, the quantum AI showing her real-time data from across the galaxy. We've had years to plant quantum nodes throughout their territory, all disguised as failed human attempts at faster-than-light communications. The entire Concordat defense network is compromised, and they don't even know it. On screens throughout the ship, they watched as the Concordat fleet assembled. It was impressive. Thousands of warships representing the combined might of 24 advanced species. Under normal circumstances, it would have been an overwhelming force. They still don't understand, Sarah observed, watching the alien fleet's formation. They think this is just some technological breakthrough they fail to notice. They haven't grasped that everything they know about humanity is wrong. Then it's time to show them. Chen's voice was quiet but carried absolute authority. Activate the quantum network. All of it. Sarah reached out through her neural interface, connecting with quantum nodes hidden throughout Concordat space. Each one had been carefully placed over the years, disguised as primitive human technology that the aliens had dismissed as harmless. Now, they awakened. Across the galaxy, Concordat defense systems began to fail. Their quantum communications network collapsed, replaced by human protocols they couldn't detect, let alone counter. Their weapons systems went dark, quantum interference patterns disrupting technologies they had relied on for centuries. By all known laws of physics, this should be impossible. A Valaxian scientist's transmission cut through the chaos. Their technological development curve cannot have advanced this far this fast. You're right, Sarah replied, broadcasting on all frequencies. By your laws of physics, this is impossible. But while you were laughing at our primitive attempts to understand your science, we were developing our own. While you filed reports about our technological inadequacy, We were surpassing everything you thought you knew about quantum mechanics. The Prometheus moved forward, its quantum drives operating on principles the Concordat couldn't even detect. Behind it, more human ships emerged from their camouflage, an entire fleet that had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for this moment. "This is Admiral Chen of the Earth Defense Force." Chen's voice rang across space. "For decades, you've treated humanity as technological inferiors. You've restricted our development, limited our expansion, and now attempted to subjugate our colonies. That ends today. The human fleet deployed in perfect formation, their quantum weapon systems online, but not yet targeting the Concordat ships. It was a demonstration of power, but also of restraint. We could have revealed ourselves at any time," Chen continued. "We could have struck without warning, used our technology to dominate the galaxy. Instead, we're offering you a choice. The Concordat can continue as it has, treating other species as inferiors to be controlled and restricted, or it can evolve into something better. A true partnership of equals." Through the quantum network, Sarah detected the chaos spreading through the Concordat fleet. Their scans were showing power readings that defied their understanding, detecting technological principles that overthrew centuries of established science. "Humanity doesn't want war," Sarah added, her voice carrying across the quantum channels. "We don't want revenge for your condescension or your attempts to keep us weak. What we want is what we've always wanted, the chance to contribute to galactic civilization as equals, not as subjects." The Prometheus's quantum shields shimmered with barely contained power, not a threat, but a reminder. The silence that had been humanity's shield for so long had become a roar that couldn't be ignored. "The choice is yours," Chen concluded. "But choose carefully. The species you thought was primitive has been watching, learning, and advancing while you weren't paying attention. The galaxy you thought you understood has changed. The only question is whether you're willing to change with it." In the vast silence of space, humanity's thunder echoed across the stars. The time for deception was over. The time for truth had begun. A new dawn. 1 year after humanity's revelation, the galaxy had changed in ways few could have predicted. The Concordat's central chamber, once a place of rigid hierarchy and technological supremacy, now hosted a very different kind of gathering. Dr. Sarah Hayes stood before the assembled representatives of 24 species, her neural interface connecting her to Project Nexus as she presented humanity's proposal for the future. The quantum AI's predictions had been invaluable in navigating the complex diplomatic waters that followed their demonstration of power. "The quantum network we've developed isn't just a technological achievement," she explained, gesturing to the holographic display showing the intricate web of connections spanning the galaxy. "It's a blueprint for how different species can work together, each contributing their unique perspectives and abilities." The chamber had changed. Where once the more primitive species were relegated to the outer rings, now all representatives sat as equals. The Krivek delegation, humbled but not destroyed by their defeat, watched with particular intensity. "Humanity could have used our technological superiority to dominate," Admiral Chen added from his position beside her. "Project Oracle predicted a 94.3% chance of successful conquest if we chose that path. But that was never our goal." The holographic display shifted, showing the revolutionary changes already spreading through Concordat space. Quantum technologies that humanity had developed were being shared, not hoarded. Medical breakthroughs were saving lives across species boundaries. New forms of faster-than-light travel were making the galaxy smaller and more connected. "The greatest power isn't in keeping others weak," Sarah continued, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "It's in helping them become strong. The greatest wisdom isn't in hoarding knowledge, but in sharing it with those who can help it grow." The Valaxian chief scientist, once so dismissive of human capabilities, raised their eye stalks in what had become a gesture of respect. "Your species has changed everything we thought we knew. Not just about technology, but about the nature of progress itself." "That was always our intent," Chen replied. While you watched us struggle with what you thought were primitive attempts at quantum computing, we were actually learning how different species think, how they solve problems, how they see the universe. Every failed experiment was actually a success in understanding. The holographic display showed new joint research facilities being constructed throughout Concordat space. Species that had once competed now collaborated, each bringing their unique perspectives to problems that had seemed unsolvable. The Krivek attack forced our hand, Sarah acknowledged, nodding to their delegation. We had hoped for a more gradual revelation of our capabilities. But perhaps this was better. Sometimes, the greatest changes require a shock to the system. Through her neural interface, Sarah could sense the quantum network humming with activity. But now it carried not just human thoughts and innovations, but those of a dozen species working together. Project Nexus had evolved, becoming something greater than its creators had imagined. We understand now. The Concordat High Council leader spoke, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns. Your silence wasn't weakness, it was wisdom. Your apparent primitive nature wasn't incompetence, it was patience. And look what that patience has achieved. Chen gestured to the chamber around them. A year ago, this gathering would have been impossible. The very idea of all species meeting as equals would have been dismissed as primitive human idealism. The display shifted again, showing the new ships being constructed in orbital facilities throughout Concordat space. They were neither purely human nor alien designs, but something new. The product of multiple species working together, combining their knowledge and perspectives. The galaxy stands at a crossroads, Sarah concluded. The old way of technological supremacy and rigid hierarchy has ended. But what comes next depends on all of us. Humanity's strength was never in our quantum computers or our hidden fleets. It was in our ability to learn from others, to grow through cooperation rather than competition. And now we offer that strength to all. Chen added, not as a superior species sharing scraps with inferiors, but as equals working together towards something greater than any of us could achieve alone. The chamber erupted in a chorus of agreement, translated across dozens of languages and communication methods. Species that had once viewed each other with suspicion or contempt were reaching out, sharing ideas, building connections. In orbit above Earth, the Prometheus hung in space beside ships from a dozen worlds. Its quantum camouflage was gone, its true power now visible to all. But it was no longer a symbol of hidden strength. Instead, it represented something far more powerful, the potential of different species working together. Project Oracle's latest predictions. Chen asked quietly as the chamber continued their discussions. Sarah smiled, connecting with the quantum eye. Unprecedented. The collaborative potential of multiple species working together. The predictions go beyond anything we could have imagined. We're seeing possible technological and social advances that even we hadn't considered. The galaxy had changed. The species that had once laughed at humanity's primitive nature now sought their guidance. But humanity hadn't replaced one form of supremacy with another. Instead, they had shown the galaxy a new way forward, one where strength came not from domination, but from cooperation. The silence had become thunder, and the thunder had awakened something new. The dawn of a truly united galaxy had begun.